So next we're going to, actually I was going to do the alternator and the AC compressor belt, but I'm actually going to do the engine mount. But to remove that, we need to jack up this side of the car and get our jack underneath our engine and support it, raise it and support it a little bit, and then we're going to remove this mount. Oh yeah, don't forget to put on your emergency parking brakes and choke your rear wheels before you start jacking up a car, okay? Next, time to remove our wheel. Okay, next you want to put a piece of 2x4 on your jack and start jacking up the engine. You only need to raise it a little bit, maybe like you basically need to only support it, not even raise it, so that should be enough. Okay, I'm going to use my impact gun to remove these two nuts, actually three. These take, let me see, 17 millimeter. Yep. There's this. And it should come out. There we go. Okay, next it's time to remove our splash shield, and it's held in place by these two clip-on types. These two clips. Just need to pull this out. There's one. There's a second one. You know, this is part of the hole under the splash shield that goes underneath the car, and there's no way I'm gonna remove the entire thing just to get this out of the way. So I'm just gonna peel these back and put this on. Let me stick this on down here somewhere. Okay, so in order to remove the alternator and the AC compressor belt, we need to loosen this bolt. Then at the end here, there is one of those screws that was for the power steering pump. That's what we're going to use to loosen this. But after we loosen this bolt, there's another top bolt for the alternator that actually we need to loosen before we start unscrewing that and getting the belt off. Okay. Okay, now it's time for the top bolt. The bottom one was 12 millimeter and this top one is 14. Now that's loosened, we can start unscrewing this tensioning mechanism that's on the side, and then take off our belt. Right. It's gonna be nearly impossible to show you guys, but it's pretty much the same procedure as the power steering pump, the power steering belt. Okay, I'll actually try to show it to you. There's the thing, and we're just counterclockwise until this is plenty loose, and we're almost there. There we go. Again, if you're going to be reusing your stuff, make sure you mark the direction of rotation for each belt. But I have a pretty good suspicion that this thing, yeah, it's a little dry rotted. So yeah, we're going to replace this too. Okay, now we're going to completely remove this upper bolt for alternator. Now we're just going to remove the tensioning mechanism and the power and the lower alternator bolts that you guys saw earlier. We're just going to turn that bolt all the way out and remove it. There we go, I'll show it to you. Well, actually I can't because it's on the alternator, but I'm going to remove the alternator now and then show it to you. Okay, next we get our pry bar and put it behind the alternator, like that spot right there, and then we'll pull it out. That bolt is still in there. Fuck. Okay, I thought this was going to give us enough clearance this was going to be further out enough to be able to get this alternator out, but actually it looks like it won't be, so we're going to actually remove this this bracket for the reservoir for the power steering pump. Again, the bolt that's holding this thing in is a 12 millimeter. Alright, let's try this again. I think we got it this time. There we go. Alternator is free. Oh, and the tensioning mechanism is actually goes on the bracket for the, it's on the AC compressor. Okay. Okay, next I'm gonna remove this upper timing bolt cover, which is held in by 3 10mm bolts here, here, here. You know, actually, first I'm gonna remove this this connector that's for your cam sensor. And whenever you go to use this stuff that I'm using, make sure this pointy thing, make sure you're very careful, because you could scratch one of those wires and then you'll have a hard time chasing down wiring problems. And this one that came out of this hole is the longer one than the other two. Okay, so keep that in mind. This should now come right off. There we go. Okay, here's a look at our timing bolt, and it looks in pretty good shape. Actually, it looks in really good shape. I've got a feeling they actually have done a timing bolt job. Also, the water pump looks in good shape too, but I'm here. Well, already at it. You know, I might end up just doing the timing bolt or the timing bolt and tensioners and then not the water pump if I open the whole thing up and then everything looks like almost new. But anyway, I think in order to get the lower cover off and actually eventually taking off the belt, we're going to have to remove this this bracket that was for the connector that went into our motor mount. So, and as the bolts that I see that are connecting it is 2 bolts down there, that one, and then there's another one right above it that you guys won't be able to see, and then there is 2 on this side. These are just the ones I can see right now. There's probably actually 3 on this side. There's 2 right there, and then there's 1 in the back here. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and remove those next. Okay, and these 2 are 14 millimeter. Okay, these are 14 millimeter as well. I'm gonna first get the one in the back that's right underneath the exhaust manifold. Alright, hopefully it should come out. Yeah. Let's see, just slide this out from the side and out. And there we go. Alright, and here's an even better look at our tying components. One thing that stands out, I don't know, this feels really loose to me. This is not on the tension side, but still, I guess this is normal. Or maybe that's a sign of the timing bolt stretching over time, but it looks in good shape. We'll have a closer look when we pull it out. Okay, so next we need to get our engine to top dead center and then remove the harmonic balancer. We get it to top dead center by turning the harmonic balancer counterclockwise until where it says up on the camshaft gear obviously faces up. And there's 2 notches on the sides here that need to align with the top of the cylinder head exactly. And also there's going to be a socket that falls on the floor and a notch on the timing belt cover and an arrow here at the bottom right here. I don't know if you can see, but then you need to look straight down, line those up, and then there's going to be a mark on the harmonic balancer that as you're turning counterclockwise it's going to come down there and then line up with this notch with this arrow. And if you can line all these 3 up, you're at top dead center, given your car ran fine before you did this, and this is up. So if your car ran fine before you decided to replace your timing bolt cover, you just want to make sure this is facing up, and if you line those up correctly, these notches on the sides will line up with your cylinder head, and you can double check those too. But actually, in order to get your harmonic balancer off, you're gonna need this tool, especially if you don't have an impact gun. I'm gonna show you using this tool, since I figure most people are not gonna have an impact gun. And you can rent this from you know, O'Reilly's or Auto Parts, or you know, maybe AutoZone might have it too. This is common enough. It's used on a lot of different on Hondas. So there's a lot of Hondas out there, so they carry it, I'm sure. And the way we're gonna do it is actually, since this is this engine goes counterclockwise, we're gonna turn the harmonic balancer until we are right before we get to, we're like around here, right before we get to top dead center. And then we're gonna get our bolt off, because since you're gonna have to use this, even if you have another person helping you and they're holding this really hard, and then you manage to get it loose, you're still probably gonna move a little bit, and it's gonna be out of time. So it's better to get the bolt off while this is before top dead center, and then you can just completely remove the bolt, and then you can just use this to turn and line everything up. That way you don't have to, because if you don't do that, you know, you gotta put the bolt, after you loosen the bolt, you have to put it either back in or get this on there, keep turning this 2 full rotations on the bottom, then to line all those marks back up. Okay, so yeah, that's what we're gonna do next.